Hello everybody, this is Albert with Green Tea House. I hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to talk about a new tea that we're offering, Rose Petal Black with lavender pieces. Now before we begin, if you haven't done so already, check out our back catalog of episodes and I'll make sure that I put some up here that are germane. Also, appreciate it if you could subscribe and hit the notification bell so these episodes come fresh to you, and also just helps with the algorithm as well. All right, so I am doing this video on the eve of our soft launch. I've mentioned in past episodes how I have a lot of these videos already kind of queued up. So I think this is going to be episode maybe 60 or 61. I already have episode, I think like 154 that's going to come out in late October. One of those episodes that I've already done is on a very famous Chinese black tea called Lapsang Souchong. It's probably next to Caffeine, another very famous Chinese black tea. It's one of the top three kind of well-known black teas that come out of China. So we do have an episode called What is Lapsang Souchong? So there's going to be a little overlap, but that episode isn't coming out till September, so we'll focus on this one. So Rose Petal Black is something that I've wanted to offer for some time, and I just didn't want to offer one that has artificial flavors because Casey and I dedicated kind of in our mission statement when we created this that we weren't going to offer any teas that have any artificial flavors or sweeteners. We've talked about that, how that's a major problem in the episode we did on what are dessert teas, because dessert teas, a lot of them are like, coconut, white chocolate, macadamia nut, chocolate chip, black tea. You can't really mimic those flavors without using fake stuff. So I wanted to do a rose petal black that was all natural and was organic. So I was able to find the ingredients to do a custom blend. Now, for the black tea base, I could have done a Caffeine, I could have done a Malti Assam, I could have done an Algeria. There's so many black teas out there from different countries, but I love Lapsang Souchong. Now, Lapsang Souchong is a unique black tea in that it is smoked. It's pine smoked. So they get the leaves and they put it over the smoke of pine trees. And because of this black tea has a very unique taste. And maybe like pu'er, which is a different category that comes from Camellia sinensis, not everybody's going to like Lapsang Souchong because of this pine smokiness, especially if you're used to more of the Indian black teas, which more people are used to because they're the ones that kind of spread to the west. So you think of like most of the Earl Grey blends, the English blends, orange picos and whatnot, the chais. These are mostly going to be from Camellia sinensis assamica, and so it's going to have a different blend than the Camellia sinensis that Lapsang Souchong's from. Either way, I thought it'd be the best black tea to put in this blend. So we're using Lapsang Souchong as the base, and then we have rose petals. So as you can see in the picture here, we have pieces of rose petals, and when you go to the tea shop, again, the soft launch opening is today as I'm recording this, you can look at it, you can smell it, you can see the different pieces. We put in rose petals because rose petals, and it also has a little rose essential oil. And if you know anything about essential oils, rose is one of the preeminent ones, and it's just so floral. So you can smell this before you even steep it. But the rose petals, not only do they bring a subtlety of the taste of rose petals, but just the visual component. Just having this kind of black backdrop of the black tea, and then you juxtapose that with just this kind of beautiful floral redness of the rose petals. And then what I also did was throw in some lavender, dried lavender. You might not be able to see it in the picture that I took, but if you come by the tea shop, you'll definitely see it. And it looks like little pieces of dried lavender. And I wanted to put that in there as well because lavender, and it's not going to be overpowering. When you drink this, you're definitely going to taste the Lapsang Souchong, the smokiness of the black, and then you'll have the subtle taste of rose. And then the lavender is even more subtle. You're really going to have to smell it like we do with wine or drink it multiple times at home or at the tea shop to really pick up the lavender. But the lavender does bring that kind of sweetness that lavender brings. And of course, we do sell a chamomile lavender tisane. You're more than welcome to check that one out. So with those three components we have in this one, so the Lapsang Souchong, pine smoked black, and then we throw in the rose petals, and we throw in the lavender. I think it has a really good taste and a complexity to it that I think that you will like. And I know Casey likes it. Casey doesn't really like Lapsang Souchong as a whole, like by itself, but she actually likes this blend. So if you look at the liquor is, as I've talked about before, so the Chinese don't call black tea, they call it red tea because the liquor of black teas is red. So they call it that, but you can see the liquor is kind of an amber, darkish red, and definitely smell it. Taste it, swish it around again. It's a lot like wine. How should you steep this? If you buy this at home, I would do it, since it's a black tea, I would do about 190 to 200-ish. If you have a kettle that has a setting for that kind of range. Normally with the black tea, since they're 100% oxidized, it's not nearly as sensitive on temperature. Or if you don't have a kettle that has a temperature setting, all you got to do is do your full boil on your kettle and then open the lid on the top, and I would probably wait about a minute before you steep it. You don't want to do full boil. You want to do in that aforementioned range. And like with all of our tea, you can re-steep these a couple of times and really get a good double infusion out of it. And with this black one, I would probably tell you, you could do, like at the tea store, we'll do this for a 5-minute sitting. But if you're at home, I would do about 2.5 minutes for the first infusion, and then do it 2 more times. A little higher temperature or a little lower, just to change the flavor complexity of it. In terms of caffeine, this doesn't really have a lot of caffeine, partly because black tea as a whole, especially Lapsang Souchong, is not from the buds. We talked about like what really influences caffeine, and there's this idea that different categories of tea have more caffeine, and that's not really true. It's really where you're picking the leaves, how it's processed, the temperature of the water, and how long you're steeping it. So in this case, because it's a black tea, that it uses the more mature leaves, and also because there's other blends in it, therefore the ratio of actual black tea is lower. This one would be moderate to low caffeine. So this is something you can drink at night, and you can certainly try this with a sweetener like honey or cane sugar and milk, and it'll bring another complexity to the taste. Guys, post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care and God bless.